Most outstanding players in the offensive, defensive, and lineman categories are recognized as Pacific Western Airlines Stars of the Week. Winners from the last week of the regular season schedule included defensive back Keith Gooch, number 18 for the BC Lions. His theft of the ball from Winnipeg's Jeff Boyd and blocked punt led to 10 BC points as the Lions won home field advantage for their Western semifinal rematch. Lineman Star of the Week was awarded to Edmonton's number 36, Stuart Hill, winning his third star of 86. Hill highlighted an outstanding performance with a fumble recovery as the Eskimos froze Saskatchewan 42-14. And Edmonton's number 25, Tom Richards, caught the offensive star along with 7 passes for 188 yards and a touchdown. The Brantford, Ontario native added a 45-yard punt return for the Western Division leading Eskimos. Today's CTV Profile highlights the Stars of the Year candidates emerging from the second half of the CFL's regular season. Stars of the Year winners are decided on the basis of points accumulated over the course of the regular season. Points are also awarded for second and third place. So consistency of performance obviously is a very important factor. The defensive category this year featured 10 different winners in the second half. Argonaut linebacker Willie Pless took a star in Week 11, while defensive backs Richie Hall in Week 12 and Elvis Satelli from Week 16 carried the Calgary colors. The Montreal Alouettes were represented by defensive backs Steve Benjamin and the CFL's interception leader Terry Irvin. Danny Bass of the Western Division leading Edmonton Eskimos and teammate Craig Schaefer, along with Hamilton's Frank Robinson, and 9-year CFL veteran Ben Zambiazzi earned stars from their linebacker positions. The Battle of the Trenches was won by defensive linemen in the second half of 1986, but that old adage that offensive linemen are only noticed when they miss an assignment was negated by 3 very worthy winners. Winnipeg 6'7" tackle Chris Walby shares this distinction with 11-year veteran Roger Aldag of the Western Riders and 9-year CFLer Bob Poley, center for the Calgary Stampeders. Defensive linemen earning stars match the list of who's who in the sack department. There's CFL leader James Quick Parker with 22. Montreal's Brett Williams finished tied for second at 21, while Calgary's Harold Hallman had 19 to his credit. Mike Gray of the BC Lions starred in Week 19, but it was Edmonton's number 36, Stuart Hill, who dominated the second half with 3 first-place selections. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers clearly dominated the offensive category. They had 5 firsts out of a possible 10. And the depth of their offensive arsenal was certainly illustrated by who won the awards. Their quarterback, a receiver, a running back, even their place kicker earned first-place stars in the second half of the 86 regular season. John Hufnagel earned 2 first-place selections, with Joe Poplawski on the receiving end of a star in Week 12. Running back James Sykes was honored in Week 11, and Trevor Kennard returned from an injury to kick his way to stardom in Week 15. The balance in Calgary's attack is shown by running back Gary Allen and wide receiver Ray Alexander being honored, while Alouette wide receiver James Hood and BC quarterback Roy DeWalt round out the offensive category. This second half review of Stars of the Week winners and challengers for Stars of the Year honors has been brought to you by Pacific Western Airlines, serving over 40 Canadian destinations. This is the Eastern Championship Game 1 on CTV. Halftime continues in a moment.
CTV has exclusive coverage of the Vanier Cup. Tomorrow's CFL Stars will be there. The Vanier Cup, November 22nd here on CTV. This is the CTV Television Network.
This is CFCN in Calgary, Lethbridge, and Medicine Hat.
It's the Argonauts and the Tiger Cats, Game 1 of their 2-game series, and we are at halftime at Ivor Wynn. And since we are trying to decide who has the best team in the CFL East, it is only appropriate that we take a moment now to honor the best players in the CFL East. All those Shenley Award nominees from all 4 teams have now been whittled down to just 1. This is the Leo Danduran Trophy, awarded annually to the player judged to be the most outstanding offensive lineman in the East. And in 1986, that is tackle Miles Gorell of the Hamilton Tiger Cats, a 9-year veteran of CFL trench warfare. Miles is a product of the University of Ottawa, and he has the size for a tackle at 6'7", 280, and has had an outstanding season protecting his quarterbacks and blowing gaping holes for Tiger Cat running backs. The James P. McCaffrey Trophy, awarded annually to the Eastern Division's best defensive player. And this year, that's the Toaster, Montreal Alouette defensive tackle Brett Williams, in only his second season in the CFL, though he honed his skills with several teams in the NFL and USFL. Good size, 6'3", 260, but it is Brett's outstanding quickness and agility that make him so well suited to the Canadian game. He finished the year with 21 sacks. Awarded each year to the most outstanding Canadian player in the Eastern Division, the Lou Heyman Trophy. And a two-time winner is Hamilton slot-back Rocky DiPietro. Born in Sault Ste. Marie, he's another U of Ottawa product who's played his entire pro career with the Tiger Cats. He has impressive statistics despite missing several games due to injury and playing for an offense that does not roll up a lot of yardage. 86 receptions and over 1,000 total yards. The Frank M. Gibson Trophy is awarded every year to the best rookie in the East. And despite missing a third of the season due to injury, Argonaut linebacker Willie Pless impressed the judges, as much with his infectious enthusiasm and constant aggressive play as with his 3 interceptions and 3 fumble recoveries. Willie is the first Toronto rookie winner since Cedric Minter in 1981. And now the big one, the Jeff Russell Memorial Trophy, originally donated in 1928. It goes to the most outstanding player in the East. And over the course of the 86 regular season, that was James Hood, record-setting wide receiver of the Montreal Alouettes. Although the Als offense struggled much of the year, James was simply electrifying, hauling in 95 passes for 1,411 yards. He inspires his teammates and excites the fans, a very worthy winner. And next week, all the winners will be presented with their trophies at the awards dinner just before the second game of the Eastern Final. That dinner takes place in Toronto. There is, of course, a corresponding process underway in the West. We will announce all the Western winners next week when CTV televises the Western Final. That's Sunday, November the 23rd, 4:30 Eastern start. This is Game 1 of the Eastern Championship on CTV.
Statistics, the bottom line is the important one. Toronto 17, Hamilton 14, and then just move above that to the turnovers. That's the big reason. 3 turnovers to 1.
Pat, I thought the biggest play in the first half had to be the J.C. Watts 25-yard run for the touchdown. Darryl Moyer had just made their 3rd interception of the first half, and the Argonaut offense took advantage. J.C. Watts scored the touchdown. At that point, they put them ahead 17-10. The big play of the first half.
All right, we're ready for quarter number 3 as Lance Chomick kicks it low to Wayne Lee at the 34-yard line. That's a great return by Lee because, I mean, he reversed his field, zipped and zagged, and got across midfield to about the 53.
Yeah, he made a heck of a catch on that kick. You know, that thing was coming like a rocket. Tough ball to handle, and you hear the crowd reaction as Kenny Hobart comes in to start the second half. I think that's a pretty good move on Al Bruno's part. Mike Kerrigan looked good at times, but at other times he threw that ball up for grabs.
Well, he completed 17 of 25 for 223, which is, you know, 68%, but he threw those 3 interceptions. Hobart's first pass is dropped by Rocky DiPietro.
That's not the way you want to start, too, especially when you got a new quarterback coming in the game. You want to help him get his confidence as quickly as you can, and Rocky should have had that ball. Maybe you can see that shamrock on the back of Rocky's helmet, and of course, rather than the black armband, they got the shamrock up there in honor of Frank King Clancy.
So Hobart, who didn't complete 50% of his passes this season, is in at quarterback for Hamilton on 2nd and 10. This time he drills at the stapler, and again the pass is dropped. Well, he should be 2 for 2. Instead, he's 0 for 2. There is a penalty marker down on the field, however.
Procedure, Hamilton number 23.
Well, it wouldn't have mattered whether Stapler caught the pass or not, except they still have a shot at second down.
Boy, how frustrating that must be for Kenny Hobart. I mean, you cannot throw the ball any better than that. Rocky drops one, who's usually so reliable, and Steve Stapler drops another one. Well, there's the illegal procedure, trying to get a running head start.
Carl Brazeley and Chris Woods drop back to return this punt from Steve Stapler, only his second of the ball game. Strange looking ball. He gets it high. A flag comes down as Brazeley made the catch at the 22. No yards will be the penalty. Leo Esrins was there to make the stop. It was only a 33-yard punt, but the 15-yard penalty is going to negate that.
No yards. Hamilton, number 72. First down.
So Esrins is called for no yards. He was the man who made the tackle. But Toronto is going to take over outside their 35 at about the 37-yard line. As you take a look at J.C. Watts, wasn't wildly impressive throwing the football. 6 for 13, 99 yards, but he did have a touchdown pass, and he ran for another himself. As the Argos lead it by 3, 17-14, as they take possession for the first time in this third quarter. Toss goes to Cedric Minter. And Minter is wrapped up by Leo Esrins. Back of the line of scrimmage. It'll be a loss of a couple.
Well, it was really number 77, Grover Covington, the defensive end, that did the job on that. He kept stringing the play out wider and wider and wider. Finally, Esrins able to make the tackle. But that's what you have to do. Force that back into the inside where you're going to get some help.
Leif, we haven't had an opportunity of seeing Cedric Minter until today. He looks to me like he's lost a half a step.
Well, he might have.
Watts pass. There was, boy, lousy communication between he and Keith Baker, because the ball sailed over his head by about 15 yards.
That's the second time that's happened today, and both times J.C. Watts thought Baker was going deep. Now, I played with Keith Baker. I know he's a very smart receiver. He reads coverages exceptionally well and makes the good adjustments, and maybe he's reading something that J.C.'s not seeing.
So Paul Bennett and Wayne Lee drop back to return this Hank Olisic punt. It's a beauty. Lee fumbles the ball inside his 15. Then the ball comes loose, but the Ticats are fortunate. They get it back at the 25-yard line. It was the newcomer Jim Rockford, I believe, number 26, who made the recovery.
Well, the one chance today that Hank Olisic's been able to let out some shaft, he really does so with a huge kick. And the Ticats are very fortunate. Wayne Lee coughs it up, but there's 26 Jim Rockford.
So it's a 17-14 ball game in favor of the Argos. We'll be back in a moment. 64-yard punt by Hank Olisic, a 13-yard return, as it turns out, by the Ticats. Wayne Lee fumbled it forward, and Jim Rockford fell on it at the 25-yard line. Coming into this ball game, Kenny Hobart had been good on 48% of his passes. He had thrown only 2 touchdown passes this season. He had 6 intercepted. And he's the man at the controls, number 4 for the Ticats right now, Ken Hobart. Fires to Tony Champion. Champion ducks one tackle and then is forced out of bounds, but he has the first down up at the 44-yard line. He was able to get by Cliff Hewitt and pick up 19 yards.
Well, that's the one dimension all these speedsters have. If they miss the first tackle on a guy like Tony Champion, he can go the distance in a hurry. Cliff Hewitt had a good chance to take him down, couldn't do so. Tony Champion picks up about another 10 yards.
Hobart looking, there was nobody there. I really believe that he thought that number 67, Ralph Schultz, was a receiver, because when he looked up, he had so much pressure on him that he just, unloaded it to somebody wearing a Hamilton jersey.
Well, he'd be the biggest receiver he could throw to. But, Hobart ran a bootleg to the short side of the field, and That's a tough play to run because there's not much area to work with 3 receivers out there, and Toronto covered it easily.
There are penalty markers down, and so is Hobart. The ball comes loose. It was a good hit by Cliff Hewitt.
Well, Argos think they have the ball, but the officials ruled that Hobart's knee had touched the ground. Boy, he took a good shot by Cliff Hewitt there.
Illegal procedure, Hamilton. Number 17.
Wayne Lee, illegal procedure. And as Leaf pointed out, they are ruling that Hobart was down when the ball came free. As you've heard many, many times before, the ground cannot cause a fumble. If you've been hit and you go down and the force of the ground meeting your body cannot force a fumble. So it brings up a 3rd down and 9 yards to go. Stapler. His punt will be handled by Brazeley at the 32. And he gets it over the 35 to about the 38-yard line. So the Argos will start there as the Hamilton defense now comes out onto the field. They gave up only 30 touchdowns in 1986 as you take a look at that hit by Cliff Hewitt.
Yeah, he really got a good hit on Kenny Hobart's knee, and Hobart limped off to the sidelines. I'm trying to see if they're working on him over there, but...
And there's no question that it was the ground that forced the fumble, because when his hand hit the ground, that's when the ball came out. J.C. Watts to Chris Woods, and it's neatly broken up by Lance Shields, number 28.
Well, Lance Shields originally played in the United States Football League, and he came to Hamilton last September on a 21-day trial. They liked what they saw. They brought him back this year to training camp, and he had 8 interceptions on the year in his first year with Hamilton, and he makes just a superb play right here. Broke on the football, timed it perfectly, no interference, got the hand around and knocked it down. That's tremendous defense.
Ticats had 43 interceptions this year. That's 2nd in the CFL. Well, J.C. Watts did just a terrific job. But you know who's got unbelievable speed is that Rod Skillman. Zambiasi and Ezrins finally chased him down, but Skillman came from the backside, and I mean, he was within a whisper of just getting to him.
Well, I know J.C. could feel that hot breath on the back of his neck. Watch this now. He bails out of the pocket. He has to. He's forced out of there. Watch Skillman, 59, though. He does have tremendous speed, but J.C. Watts, you know, he could have just taken it out of bounds. Watch him cut back here. That's what you like to see, a guy that he really wants to win this game. Look at that. Cuts inside of Mark Streeter.
Has the 1st down at the Toronto 54-yard line. Boy, the screen to the running back, Cedric Mitter, is dropped. A matter there of wanting to run before he had the ball. Penalty markers come down. We've got a little bit of a scuffle going on.
It's good play to run against Hamilton, too. They get such good penetration from that front 4. Screening often works well against them.
Dave Kersinger was mixing it up.
Conduct, Hamilton, number 72. 1st down.
But the penalty goes against Leo Ezrins. It was Kersinger, number 68 of Toronto, against Leo Ezrins, 72 of Hamilton.
They've had a couple of penalties that have really hurt them. Remains to be seen whether this one does, but that penalty to Tony Champion for objectionable conduct late in the 2nd quarter really took them out of good scoring position.
And in this situation, it gives Toronto a 1st down at the Hamilton 46-yard line. 9.5 minutes left to play in the 3rd quarter. Toronto ahead by 3 points. The ball is loose. Now, I believe it was Kersinger who fell on the football. No, it's Dan Ferroni. Excuse me, Kelvin Prunster. Well, we've named them all. It had to be one of them.
What's behind door number 3? The Argonauts are very fortunate here. You know, J.C. tries to get up after he slips down. He's going to be hit by Mike Walker, Ben Zambiazzi. The ball comes loose, and I'll tell you, Kelvin Prunster makes just a super play here. He's a lineman. He doesn't handle a football, but he cradles it and grabs it. Boy, they're fortunate.
Ball is back to the Toronto 43-yard line. Just that little screen to Keith Baker, and Baker gets over the 50 to about the 51, which will leave the Argos about 20 yards short of the first down. Mitchell Price 65, Frank Robinson 43, there to make the stop.
Well, J.C. Watts did the smart thing, and I think Artis Selta, he calls all the plays from up here in the press box. They said, look, it's second in a 50 yards to go for a first down. Don't do anything stupid. We're going to have to give it up. Let Hank kick us out of trouble, and they did the smart thing.
Paul Bennett allows the ball to bounce, and it bounces out of bounds at about the 23-yard line. So the Argos hang on to that 3-point lead. Toronto 17, Hamilton 14. We'll be back with the Hamilton
Saggergat defense is really fired up right now. Rod Skillman telling us that at halftime in the dressing room, there's no fancy X's and O's. They just sat and stewed. He says they are very angry. They feel they've played well enough to be well ahead.
Well, if yardage means anything, Dan, they've had enough yardage to be ahead in this game, but costly turnovers have been the story.
He also says the Argonauts won't score another point this half.
That may be true.
Ticats start from the 23. Zachary is back in the ball game, and probably wishes that he isn't, because he only gets to the 25.
Well, Gerald Bayless had the initial penetration. It just messed the entire play up. You know, if you're a defensive lineman and they run the football, if you get that penetration, so many good things then happen. The rest of the defense made the play for him, but 99 was the guy who originally got in there and slowed him down.
So the pickup was about 1.5 yards. It's second down, Hamilton. Well, that's what Hobart can do that Kerrigan can't, but that's also what Don Moan can do, is hit you and hit you a good lick too and make you feel it.
Of course, whenever we talk about Don Moan, I always think of the University of British Columbia Thunderbirds, and Don's a graduate of that university. You're going to see them next Saturday in the Vanier Cup, and of course they'll take on the University of Western Ontario Mustangs, number 1 and 2 ranked teams in the country. We'll have it for you next Saturday afternoon.
Steve Stapler back into punt. It's 3rd and 1 yard to go, and the Ticats are not going to gamble at their own 32-yard line. And that one bounces out of bounds at the Argo 49-yard line. Well, next Saturday on Wide World of Sports, we'll have the Rothmans Porsche sports car race for you, along with the Drakkar Noir Squash Championship. I know that Leaf will be watching that one with interest. The Junior Synchronized Swimming, the Duets, and the America's Cup Report all come to you next Saturday on CTV's Wide World of Sports. So the Argos, who have not moved the ball well here in the third quarter, start again from the shotgun. JC on a quarterback draw, and he gets about 4 yards. Rod Skillman and Paul Bennett combine on the tackle, 59 and 27.
Well, you know, I think JC's convinced that if they're to win this game this afternoon, of course they lead 17-14, he's the guy that's going to have to do it for them. They haven't had a great deal of success passing. The one long one to Darryl Smith for a touchdown, but the success they've had has been J.C. Watts running the football. He scored the last time these two teams met here on the quarterback draw, just like that one.
Second down, about 6 yards to go. Watts pass, no good. He was looking for Paul Pearson. Howard Fields on the coverage.
It's a tough pass to catch. The angle's always tough looking back over your shoulder like that. You know, you say, wow, heck, it's only an 8-yard pass downfield. Should be easy. That's a tough angle for a receiver.
So again, Hank Olisic comes in. The defenses now are starting to take over this ball game.
It's a nice spot for Hank. He's about 58 yards away from the goal line, so he can kind of air this one out and still try and pin them deep.
Low pass from center, but he gets it away, and it's a good one. Lee is back inside his 10. And gets out to about the 16-yard line, which is where the Ticats are going to put it into play. And as Leaf mentioned just a couple of seconds ago, it's the UBC Thunderbirds and the University of Western Ontario Mustangs in the 1986 Vanier Cup next Saturday. And note the start time. It's 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. And we go to Varsity Stadium for that one. As nice a football stadium as any you'll ever see.
Yeah, it's got a lot of character down there. The kids have a great time. We always have a great time doing that game. And of course, every year I'm not disappointed. The university players are bigger, better, faster. And this year will be no exception.
Hobart looking for champion. It's picked off by Daryl Moyer. Boy, give that Toronto Argonauts secondary all kinds of credit. They are real ball hawks here today.
Well, they're a team that really only had 29 interceptions on the year. That ranked them 5th, and today they have their 4th, Daryl Moyer's 2nd, and it seems like Hamilton does not have any kind of game plan when they're throwing deep downfield.
So the score remains Toronto 17, Hamilton 14. Argos have the ball when we come back. Moyer, the 8-year veteran from the University of Calgary Dinosaurs, only had 1 interception all season, has 2 today.
I remember Daryl Moyer a few years ago. He likes playing against Hamilton. When he played for Calgary in one of the highest scoring games in CFL history, it was his interception for a touchdown that won that game for the Stampeders. So he likes playing against the Ticats.
He's given the Argos possession at their 49-yard line. Cedric Minter dances his way beyond the line of scrimmage and picks up about 8 yards. Frank Robinson, 43, was there to make the stop, along with Leo Ezrin, 72.
Well, you know the story about Cedric Minter. He was involved in the 1983 Grey Cup for the Argonauts, played out his option, went to the Jets, hung around for a couple of years. Now he's back. Bob Obilovich likes him for his pass-catching abilities more than his running.
Picked up about 8 yards, so it's 2nd and 2. And a give again to Minter, and this time he has the first down in Hamilton territory at about the 48-yard line before Ben Zambiazzi and Leo Ezrins combine on the stop. I mean, Zambiazzi has not been the dominant force, number 31, that you see in so many Hamilton games. And that may well be because of that newcomer, Mark Napolitan, the offensive center for the Argos. Watt's pass is caught by Paul Pearson, and Pearson is down to the Hamilton 26-yard line. The gain is 22 yards on the completion to Paul Pearson, and I believe that's his first of the afternoon. It is, and it's a big one.
Well, most of the time when you blitz somebody, you play man-to-man in behind that. That time they blitzed and played a zone coverage. Pearson, he's got the experience. He read it easily, and a good throw by J.C. Watts. That's one of the better throws he's made today. Stepped up, good hard strike.
Argos first down at the Hamilton 26. Toronto leads it by 3 points here late in the third quarter. Watts going deep for Baker. No good. A penalty marker comes down on the newcomer, Jim Rockford. There was no doubt about it. He ran right into the receiver, never once looked for the football.
Oh, they ran a pass pattern that I've been waiting to see them run all day. They faked the quick screen to Baker, and all of a sudden he stopped, and then he took off. The newcomer was so sucked in.
Forward pass interference. Hamilton, number 26. It's first down on the 1.
Well, there you hear the obvious call by Bobby Bryant, but they really fished in the new corner, Jim Rockford, and he had no chance. He had to make the interference. There's no question about this. Call it screening, call it whatever you want. It's called interference.
And it also puts the ball at the 1-yard line. And all of this happens with 3:15 left to play in the third quarter. Watts in for the touchdown, his second of the ball game. All right, up don't think there's any question that the Hamilton fans, the Hamilton team, and its coaching staff is shocked by the performance of the Argos here today.
Good job by that offensive line. Dan Ferroni, he's the all-star. Why not follow him? Easy ride into the end zone, but the big interference call on Jim Rockford that set up that 1-yard touchdown run.
Lance Chomick hasn't missed all year and doesn't miss now as the Argos increase their lead to 10 points. Well, it's been a really good performance by that offensive line. We've stressed that this afternoon, and there's not a doubt in my mind that Michigan State graduate Mark Napolitan, who joined the club just about 10 days ago to take over the offensive center spot when Willie Thomas went down, they have done a great job in blocking what is really a ferocious defensive unit of the Hamilton Ticats.
You're talking about a group, you know, Chris Schultz has had experience with the Dallas Cowboys for 3 years. Dan Ferroni's been around 6. Dave Kirchner has been around for 9 years. Kelvin Prunster, this is his 3rd year. I mean, these guys are pretty good. Look at the size of Chris Schultz there, number 64. I mean, he's as big as a house. He's a high-rise.
There are other factors, too. The turnovers that Toronto have made. 4 turnovers by Hamilton, only 1 by the Argos, and penalties. 8 penalties by the Ticats for 80 yards, 2 for 23 by the Argos.
That's funny. Hamilton comes in as the least penalized team, too.
Howard Fields from the 23. And Fields again does a great job in getting out over the 45 to the 48. Warren Hudson, number 37, along with Marlon Jones, 90, down to make the stop, and Mike Kerrigan comes back in at quarterback.
I think this is a good move. You know, except for a few throws in the first half that he shouldn't have made, Mike Kerrigan had the team moving. You know, he had that 100-yard beautiful drive that Tony Champion scored the touchdown on. Kenny Hobart, he struggled. He had a couple of passes dropped on him early, and I think that affected him.
We've got Champion and DiPietro to one side, Lee and Stapler to the other as Kerrigan drops straight back. Looks, throws over the middle to Lee. A pass was a little bit high, and he couldn't bring it down. Boy, Howland's dropped a lot of footballs today, too, though.
Well, you know, I think it all started when they had Howard Fields had that long kickoff return, you'll recall, late in the 2nd quarter. They got down to 1st and goal from the 11. They ran a reverse to Tony Champion, and they lost yardage. Ever since that, it's been downhill.
2nd and 10, Ticats at their 48. 2:25 left in the 3rd quarter. Kerrigan throws. That's complete to DiPietro. There's a penalty marker down on the field. DiPietro got the ball to the Toronto 43. Now let's wait and see what the marker indicates. Holding
62
against Hamilton. John Malinowski, the right tackle, number 62, is called for holding.
Well, there you see him at the right side of your screen. Now they run a stunt, and he has to pick up Mark Seal coming to the outside. Let it run, let it run. Oh, there's no question about that. And he didn't need to grab the jersey there. The ball was going to be thrown, no problem.
Ball is pushed back now to the Hamilton 38-yard line. It'll be 2nd and 20.
Well, you take away the gain by Rocky and the 10-yard penalty. They lost about 40 yards of offense right there.
Triple receivers to the left side of the formation. And that's where Kerrigan is looking and throws, but too far ahead of DiPietro. But now we've got another penalty marker down. And this one could be a holding call against the Argos in their defensive secondary.
Holding, Toronto number 15. 2nd down repeater.
That's Cliff Hewitt called for holding.
Well, you're going to have a chance to look at it. Tony Champion's trying to work his way downfield, and you can give him a bump. That's okay, but don't hang on to him like that. You know, that's dumb. You got 2nd and 20. Make the guys earn it. Don't give them the free one. Well, actually, it's still 2nd down. They only get 10 yards on defensive holding, but, you know, you got to make the offensive team work for it.
Ball is at the Hamilton 48-yard line. Argos lead by 10. That one again was very nearly picked off. Carl Braisley stepped in front of Rocky DiPietro. So too did Don Moan. And it may have been the collision between Braisley and Moan that allowed that ball to fall to the turf.
Well, of course, that's the illusion sometimes of the zone coverage. What appears to be an opening can close off in a hurry as the two defenders squeeze off that lane, Carl Braisley and Don Moan.
So again, Steve Stapler is punting.
Well, I'm surprised they haven't gone after him today, Pat. He's painfully slow getting rid of that football. Toronto's been more concerned with setting up the returns.
He gets them high, but they're seldom very deep. And Braisley does fumble it, but fumbles it out of bounds at the 30-yard line. So that's where the Argos are going to take over with 1:20 left to play in this third quarter. Just want to remind you that 1 week from today, it'll be the British Columbia Lions against either the Edmonton Eskimos or the Calgary Stampeders at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time on the full CTV network. And Conrad Holloway has come in to quarterback the Toronto Argonauts. The give is to Cedric Minter, and Minter gets a couple of yards. Wrapped up by Mike Walker, the defensive tackle, number 61.
Conrad Holloway, as you people are well aware, has not played lately for the Argonauts. Comes into this game 55% completion percentage on the year, 15 interceptions and only 14 touchdown passes. That's really been the problem area this year. He's usually only about 4 or 5 interceptions for the year.
He was going deep looking for Chris Woods, but it's picked up. Lance Shields gives Hamilton possession at the 42-yard line. The pass was well overthrown, intended for Chris Woods. Shields got back to pick it off.
Well, the Ticats needed something good to happen to them to try and turn things around. They trail by 10 points. They need a bit of a break. They may have got it here with Lance Shields. The ball just simply well overthrown Chris Woods. Shields turns into a wide receiver himself, makes the interception, but now the offense has got to get something going.
Carney was in that play because J.C. Watts is hurt. He has re-injured the thumb of his throwing hand. Happened a couple of weeks ago against Ottawa.
Kerrigan's pass intended for Tony Champion is incomplete as Champion slipped down. Kerry Parker was providing the defensive coverage.
Well, you know things aren't going your way when you throw a good strike out there and at the last second your receiver falls down.
Well, you know what, too, gentlemen? There's a fine drizzle falling now, too. The field's starting to get a little slick.
This will be the final play of the third quarter. Kerrigan dumps it off to Zachary. Zachary fumbles the football, but it'll be Hamilton possession, I believe. He'll come up about 2 yards short of the first down, but boy, does that guy run hard. He appeared to be stopped about the 49-yard line, and he gets it out to the 52. Hamilton will have possession, and they'll have a decision to make when we come back. It is Toronto 24, Hamilton 14, as the third quarter comes to an end. We'll return with the fourth quarter in a moment. On third down, the Ticats don't gamble. Stapler's punt is handled by Braisley, and a no-yards penalty marker comes down. Braisley fumbled the ball, but it really is immaterial because the no-yards penalty flag was already down.
No yards, 39 Hamilton, up 15, first down.
That's Ed Getavekas called for no yards.
Just before we went to commercial, Hamilton was really arguing that maybe this fumble should have given them a first down. But watch, Willie Pless knocks the ball loose, and actually I think maybe he was the last guy to touch it before it went out of bounds. So, you know, you argue you should have had a first down. They kind of dodged a bullet not losing the ball.
But Argos right now, after that penalty, have possession at their own 45-yard line. Andrej Holloway is at quarterback. He throws that center screen looking for Cedric Minter, but the pass goes incomplete. You know, in punting today, Hank Olisic has averaged 45.2, Stapler 31.8. So you can see a lot of yardage made up there as you look at the three-quarter statistical story, and the turnover picture still is a very big one. 4-2. Hamilton has coughed up the ball 4 times. And then when you take a 14-yard difference every time you punt the football, that makes a lot of yardage too. Holloway throws to Minter. He gets to the 50-yard line, and that's about all for a pickup of 5. Leo Ezrins is there to make the tackle. The ball came loose, but it was after Minter had hit the ground and the play was dead.
Pat, you were talking earlier about Toronto's offensive line. Cedric Minter really agrees with you. He says he's only been here a month, but this is by far the best game the line has played in front of him. And he agrees it's the center that's making a big difference.
Well, a lot of times your center's the guy in blitzing situations that has to make the calls, and Mark McColleton has the experience.
Olisic's punt was chased down by Paul Bennett at the 17-yard line, and then he gets to about the 20 or 21. That's about it. So for the umpteenth time today, Ticats start in a hole as Don Moen was down to make the tackle. A 43-yard punt and only a 3-yard return. Watch Don Moen, 36.
Yeah, he's a guy that gives you the old 100%er every time he puts the helmet on.
Boy, he had a good year. 94 tackles, 4 sacks for Don Moen, the graduate of the UBC Thunderbirds. First down, Ticats. The ball is just outside their 20. They trail by 10 points here early in the fourth quarter. Pass is caught by Stapler, and he has the first down at about the 37. Daryl Moyer, 24, and Kerry Parker, 17, combine on the tackle after the 15-yard gain.
And I think if I was Mike Kerrigan, that's the area that I would concentrate on here in the fourth quarter. Kerry Parker, because that's where they've had their success in all the games this year. Carl Bracely, he's a pretty tough guy. Kerry Parker's the guy I want to pick on.
Kerrigan swings it out to the back, Zachary. And Cliff Hewitt drags him down at about the 42. He'll have a pickup of about 6 yards. But again, you know, that's not a bad gain on first down.
No, I think it's a great gain, and you get a good matchup. Ken Zachary, who's 230, working against Cliff Hewitt, who I suspect is about 185, 190. That's the kind of matchup you like in the open field. We've got such a big field to work with, and give it to Ken Zachary. Let him run with it.
Second down, about 4 yards to go. Hamilton, the ball is at their 42-yard line. Well, the pass was intended for Tony Champion, was just a little bit behind him. Kerry Parker was on the defensive coverage, and because the ball was behind him, as he reached back for it, his feet went out from under him. So Chris Woods, 85, is back out onto the field, and let's see if the Argos take a run at Stapler this time. No, Bracely is going to back off now and come as a medium-type punt returner. He's about 12 yards in front of Chris Woods. And this one is a line drive. Bracely takes it over his shoulder at the 28. And ends up losing yardage back to the 25-yard line. Toronto 24, Hamilton 14, 11 minutes, 40 seconds left to play in the fourth quarter. We'll be back in a moment. Grey Cup Festival have really done things up well out there again. The kickoff party takes place Wednesday, November the 26th at the Plaza of Nations, which is on the Expo 86 site. And all those things are going to be going on. The annual Grey Cup dinner should be a hoot because Rich Little will be there as the main entertainer. The Miss Grey Cup pageant dance takes place on Friday. Board of Trade breakfast on Thursday. A whole lot of things to do if you're going out to Vancouver. And of course, we'll capsulize all those things for you on our pregame show, Grey Cup Day, here on CTV. Argos begin from their 26-yard line. Give us to Cedric Minter. And Minter gets to the 31. He'll have a pickup of 5.
You know, you start to think about the repercussions from the first game of a 2-game total point. Now there's a little more than 11 minutes remaining, and what a psychological advantage it would be for the Argonauts if they could have a lead going back into their park for the second game. And I'm sure that's what Bob Obilovich is thinking about right now.
Yeah, he'd love to have a 17-point lead rather than a 10. He'd like any kind of a lead, you're right. But he knows right now that they have a shot to pick up some more points here. It would appear that Chris Woods does have the first down, and in fact they move the yardsticks now.
Well, of course, we've mentioned that Toronto did win 2 out of 3 games in their series this year, and those 2 wins did come at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. So if they can sneak one out here, they'd have to really feel good about their chances. Now Big Ben, 9 years from Georgia, and boy, it's tough trying to make tackles when you're being held. Kelvin Primster's got a horse collar on him.
The injured Argonaut is Warren Hudson, the fullback, which means that we'll see Bob Bronk in the lineup, number 34.
It really appears as though Warren Hudson has been the guy that they're counting on to play fullback. Bob Bronk, known so much as a good blocker in his career from Queens, has kind of lost his starting job to Warren Hudson.
So the Argos pick up the first down on the pass reception, and they have it at the 38-yard line. Chris Woods, number 85. They have not gone deep to him today, which is amazing because he does have that blazing speed. The only time they tried to, the pass was intercepted by Lance Shields. This time they're going deep, looking for Paul Pearson. There's a penalty marker back in the Argo backfield, which would indicate holding by somebody in the offense.
Holding, 69, Toronto.
Dan Ferroni, number 69, is called for holding.
Well, he's the right of your screen, and it's kind of tough to see what happens there. Rod Skillman's trying to get away from him, but once you get the hands up on the shoulders of those defensive linemen, the officials are going to call it.
The Ticats pushed them back inside their 30 at about the 28.5-yard line, so it'll be 1st and 20 with 10 minutes and 15 seconds left to play. There will not be overtime in the event of a tie because this is a total point series. Holloway looking for Chris Woods, and he's got him deep at the 50-yard line. Well, that's what we talked about, that they hadn't gone deep to him. He certainly got Shields, and Howard Fields turned around. A 33-yard pickup by Chris Woods.
Well, you could see it coming. Connie put all the receivers to the wide side of the field. He had Chris Woods one-on-one with Lance Shields, and that's the area he chose to try and exploit. He ran a post corner, watch that, turns Lance Shields right around, and pretty good throw. 33 yards later, that's a big play because, you know, you got 2nd and 20. That's tough to convert.
Well, this just doesn't look like the same Argonaut offensive line because they're playing so well today, and there are so many changes in it. I mean, the quarterback is getting nothing but time today, and all season long he didn't get anything. Warren Hudson is back into the ball game. He was the carrier, and he's wrapped up by Ben Zambiazzi virtually at the line of scrimmage. Mitchell Price, number 65, was there to help out.
Must be a scary thing when you're a guy like Lance Shields and you're out on the corner, you're out on that island by yourself, and you know you're one-on-one with a big bit of green area to work with out there with Chris Woods, and it's got to be scary.
I would think you're absolutely right. As Dwight Edwards comes into the ball game in place of Paul Pearson. The difference there is that Edwards had such blazing speed. The pass to Darrell Smith is caught, and he has the first down. It was a saving tackle by Howard Fields. Fields doesn't make the tackle. I can guarantee you that Darrell Smith is in the end zone. That's another area that Toronto has really improved, their overall team speed.
Now, Conrad Holloway reads the blitz perfectly. Paul Bennett, number 27, was cheating up. He was coming. That means you got man-to-man. You throw it quick. And he got a quick post into Darrell Smith. That's experience by Conrad Holloway reading that defense.
17 yards the gain. First down, Toronto at the Hamilton 32. The toss goes to Minter. Nowhere to go. The corner was shut down neatly by Mark Streeter, number 20.
You know, it's kind of nice to see a Conrad Holloway get a little time to throw. He just got sandbagged all year long playing quarterback for the Argonauts. Today he's had a little more protection and he's been able to complete some passes.
Look at the size of that offensive line, though. Now, the way it stands right now, they average 6'5", 260 pounds. It's second down, about 12 yards to go. Minter lost a couple. This one is picked off by Fields. It went right through Cedric Minter's hands, and Fields picked it off.
Well, Conrad Holloway initially wanted to go to Keith Baker deep. They zoned him up to the short side of the field. No way he could throw it there. You see him looking for Baker. Can't throw it there. He looks back and tipped ball, and Howard Fields has an interception. Another break for the Ticats.
7:47 left to play in the fourth quarter. Toronto 24, Hamilton 14. We'll be back in a moment. Well, let's look at six-year veteran Howard Fields, who picks off that Conrad Holloway pass that Cedric Minter should have caught. But, you know, these guys are ball hawks anyway. Mark Streeter had 9 interceptions this year. Fields had 6. Lance Shields had 8. Les Brown, who's out of the lineup, also had 8. So interceptions are not new to the Hamilton Ticat defense. First down from their 33. Kerrigan wants to go deep. The champion, it's out of bounds. He made the catch, but he was 5 yards out of bounds. Kerry Parker had good coverage on him.
Of course, Kerry Parker said this week, he said, I'm going to give Tony Champion a little more room. I was too aggressive the last time I played him. That time Champion tried to run an out and up, a deception kind of play, and Parker had no part of it, didn't bite on that out. No way they were going to complete that. Had he been in the field of play, Kerry Parker would have knocked it down for sure.
Argos averaged 23 points a game this year, Hamilton 22. So Argos are just a point over what they normally average, and Hamilton is a touchdown under. Kerrigan's pass was very nearly picked off. It was deflected by Don Moan.
I talked earlier about the Hamilton linebacking crew and their mobility. The Argos have that as well. Don Moan, David Marshall, Willie Pless, they all get good drops, and watch the reaction. Once the ball's in the air, now Don Moan breaks on it. Gets the hand up, knocks it away.
Paul Osbaldiston in the kick for the Ticats. This one bounces to Chris Rogers at the Toronto 38. Chris Woods, excuse me, with a fine return for the Argos, and they'll have the ball in Hamilton territory. Argos lead at 24-14. We'll be back in a moment. The 29-yard punt return by Chris Woods has given Toronto possession in Hamilton territory at the 44-yard line. We've got 6 minutes and 48 seconds left to play in the fourth quarter. Toronto leads it by 10 points. This is really a critical area now for Hamilton. The Argos have to be stopped at all costs from getting into the end zone, because you do not want to go into the other guy's park down by 17 points. That pass could have been picked off too by Leo Ezrins. It was thrown slightly behind Cedric Minter.
Boy, Leo broke on the ball just at the right time, intended for Cedric Minter. Of course, Leo was a tight end when he first came up with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He almost had one there. Looks like Dan Ferroni's down, the injured Toronto Argonaut offensive lineman. He's been kind of nicked all game and struggling back to the huddle every once in a while.
Conrad Holloway has thrown 8 passes since coming on in relief of J.C. Watts. He's completed 4 for 63 yards, but he's had 2 intercepted. And, of course, a reminder again that next Sunday we'll have the Western Conference Final for you. The BC Lions against either the Edmonton Eskimos or the Calgary Stampeders. Who do you like in that game later this afternoon at Edmonton and Calgary?
Well, I mean, I think you have to take Edmonton. They're at home, and they looked so impressive last week. I know they played Saskatchewan, who are out of everything, but they just look so solid offensively, defensively. They had the opportunity to play in the cold weather on that lousy field, and I think that's going to be a big advantage for them this afternoon.
Plus the fact that Gary Allen, the #1 running back in the CFL in 1986, who gained over 1,000 yards, is out of that Calgary attack, and it makes it a lot harder to throw if you never run the football.
Well, it sure does, but if there's one guy that impresses me as a gutsy guy, it's that Rick Johnson, and boy, you know that he'll be giving it everything he can this afternoon. He's got a great receiving core to work with.
Dan Peshnig is in, number 65, in place of the injured Dan Ferroni, number 69. It's 2nd down and 10 as Holloway is in the shotgun formation. Again, Howard Fields made the big play on Paul Pearson. There's a penalty marker down.
Leo Ezrins indicates a legal procedure.
Toronto 64.
Well, that's Chris Schultz, number 64, the left tackle. So Hamilton declines the procedure penalty, and Olisic comes out.
Now, this is interesting now for Hank Olisic. He's 44 yards from the goal line. What do? Do you try and pad that lead, or do you just try and hem Hamilton deep in their own territory?
I'd go for the point myself.
I kind of agree with you right now. Earlier, you went for field position. I'd maybe air it out now, too.
And that's what he does. It's in the end zone. And a penalty marker is down. Marlon Jones, I mean, he looked right at Paul Bennett, and he had to realize he wasn't 5 yards away. Now the decision is Hamilton's. Do they want to give up the single point, or do they want to take the penalty?
Number 90, Toronto.
Well, Obi, I don't blame you. He's shaking his head saying, now just watch this.
Well, Bennett's cagey, He knows those guys are coming down there, and he waits, and boy, he traps them easily.
But I mean, Marlon has been up here all season now. He knows you've got to give 5 yards. And the decision is the Ticats. They can, allow the single point to stand and take the ball at the 35. Or they can accept the penalty and take it on the 15.
4 yards. Toronto is declined. 1 point.
So they'll take the ball at the 35. And give Toronto 1 more point. It makes it an 11-point lead. That could be a very big point in the overall scheme of things. This is the first game of a total point final series.
And I love the format. I think from a coaching standpoint, boy, you have to really be alert in so many different situations now. Do I give up the point or don't I? It's different from sudden death.
Zachary dropped the football. Now they rule it an incompleted pass. Time, of course, meaning everything now. 5 minutes and 27 seconds left.
Well, the one thing, with this 2-game series now, it's, we're not talking desperation now to try and win this game. I mean, obviously you'd like to win it, but you know that next week you're still going to get to play again. You trail by 11, but that's not insurmountable.
Zachary gets by Cliff Hewitt and then is drilled out of bounds by Willie Pless. And he'll be short of the first down.
Yeah, it becomes very tough when you're finding yourself second and long all the time. Earlier in the first half, if you recall, Hamilton was getting great production on first down, and they were putting drives together. Now, a couple of drop balls here and there, and things just aren't going their way.
There is Obi having a chat with Marlon Jones as he comes off the field.
Next time, he'll be about 20 yards from Paul Bennett.
Chris Woods takes it on the 33 and dances his way out to the 40-yard line. So with 4:49 left, the Argos are in pretty good shape. They lead this game by 11 points. They've got the football. And we'll remind you that we'll be out in Grey Cup en masse. We'll have the Grey Cup replay of the 1985 game for you on Saturday. And then the Grey Cup parade will come to you live. And on Sunday, we'll have all the pregame festivities, and we'll show you what went on during the Grey Cup week as well, so that you can get in the mood for the Grey Cup game. It'll be Hamilton or Toronto against one of Edmonton, Calgary, and BC. This is Keith Baker picking up the first down for the Argos out to the 51-yard line.
Well, if there's been one play this afternoon that's been successful for the Argonauts, it's certainly been that quick screen to the wide receivers. Both Chris Woods and Keith Baker have had excellent production. It's an easy pass to complete. All you need is that one little block, and of course Baker picked up an easy first down there.
Again, though, the pressure is really on that Hamilton defense. They cannot allow the Argos to score another touchdown if they want to have a sniff at this championship. Oh, Baker was in a position where he might have made the catch, but he seemed to pull his hands back a little early. Nevertheless, it goes as a long incompletion.
Well, he tried to play a little trick on Jim Brockford. Usually the defensive back watches the hands and the eyes of the receiver, and Baker kept those hands in until the last second. Tried to shoot them out and make the catch. I thought he was going to make this.
So it's second down. Ball is at the Toronto 52 with 4 minutes left to play in this fourth quarter. High pass from center. And Holloway's pass is picked off once again by Lance Shields. Excuse me, let's make that Streeter. Mark Streeter gives Hamilton the big possession at the 45-yard line of the Argonauts.
Oh, what a play he made, too. Holloway did a super job to get away from the rush. He looked like the Conrich Holloway of old. And then what looks like a strike deep downfield. Streeter with just great reaction. Of course, he was their leader this year in interceptions, so it's not surprising he makes the big one here.
What an interception that is. And what an important one, because now the Ticats are in a position where they can get on the board. And that's Conrich Holloway down on the turf.
Well, you know,
he was sight in '86.
He has taken a pounding, but now both teams tied. Each team has had 4 interceptions this afternoon. I don't know if you call it sloppy offense or good defense.
Holloway made the tackle.
That's not surprising. Remember the block he threw on James Curry this year in Ottawa on a reverse?
Who will ever forget it?
And while we're waiting for word on Conrich Holloway, the word on Dan Ferroni is he did dislocate his thumb. Possible fractures. They just taped it up and sent him back. Apparently, even if it is fractured, they can put a fiberglass cast on it so he could play next week. He is probably a little uncomfortable, however.
I would suspect so.
It's tough to use a fork.
There's Mark Streeter. Well, Streeter had, as we mentioned earlier, a terrific season. He had 9 interceptions in 1986. None any bigger than this one.
Well, that tied him for second on the CFL list with Larry Crawford of the BC Lions. Of course, Terry Irvin led the league. Tim Cowan warming up on the sidelines. Of course, they're running out of quarterbacks. J.C. Watts hurt his thumb earlier. Conrich Holloway down on the field now for quite some time. That rule this year, of course, that allows you to dress 3 quarterbacks really making some sense now as the Argonauts are getting low on quarterbacks. Boy, Conrich does not look too healthy there.
And what, of course, will drive him nuts, but most of all the coaching staff, is that he hurt himself making the tackle. Might have been Dave Kersinger rolling over on him, which didn't help his health condition.
Trainer Freddie Dunbar out on the field trying to get him up. Let's have one more peek at what might have happened. There you see Holloway coming from behind. He's going to make the tackle. And as he goes down, yeah, somebody, it wasn't Ferroni.
Conrich is saying to himself, do I still play with Ottawa, or is it Toronto? Who is it I play with?
Oh, no, yeah, he got, looked like the back of the head there.
Yeah. So it's first down, Hamilton. A good break for the Ticats, and they need one, trailing by 11 points. pass was intended for Tony Champion. It sailed over his head. Again, both clubs using that same play, little hitch screen.
Well, I think there's been a lot of stories today. Of course, the turnovers, the biggest story, but I think the Argonaut quarterbacks quite simply have played better than Hamilton's. Mike Kerrigan briefly was good, but really has not been able to do anything here in the second half.
J.C. Watts has a couple of touchdowns rushing. He also threw a touchdown pass. Kerrigan fires down the middle to Rocky DiPietro, but I don't understand that one because, I mean, he comes up about 7 yards short of the first down as Don Moan made the stop.
Well, the only thing you can think about is that it is a 2-game total point. Yeah. This isn't, if you don't win this one, I mean, it's not the end of the world. So now he gets a chance at least at a field goal attempt.
Toronto 25, Hamilton 14. We'll be back for the final 2:58 in a moment.
Get moving to Extra Old Stock and get that real beer taste.
Well, Al Bruno is saying to himself, you know, what can happen to us more that didn't happen today? I mean, they've turned the ball over. They've had all kinds of penalties, and yet if Paulos Baldiston can kick this field goal, they'll only be down by 8 points. And you can make that up in a hurry in the second game of the total point series. And it's good. Paulos Baldiston connects from 48 yards out. And the Ticats have cut the Toronto lead to 8 points, 25-17. Boy, that's just a huge clutch boot. Conrad's obviously right out of it.
You see that dazed look, but Paulos Baldiston, what a story he's been, Pat, this year for Hamilton. Kicked that 51-yarder out in Saskatchewan in the overtime tie that they had. They won the game against Ottawa in their final game of the season with a 36-yard field goal. And here another big kick. And, you know, they thought they were really in deep trouble when Bernie Ruoff got hurt, but this young fella's really done the job.
Well, he played for BC and Winnipeg this year prior to Hamilton. He's from the Richmond Raiders of the BC Junior Football League. J.C. Watts is back in there to quarterback the Toronto Argonauts. And he's down at the 31-yard line. Frank Robinson covered him there. J.C. has 2 touchdowns rushing this afternoon and has thrown a touchdown pass.
Well, his statistics are not overly impressive this afternoon, but the one thing he's done is he's made the key play.
Yeah, he's got him into the end zone.
Oh, yeah, big run and got the, well, the one run was just a 1-yarder, but nevertheless, they all count, big touchdowns.
On that occasion, he lost 5 yards, so it's 2nd and 15. Going deep for Keith Baker. He's got the ball at the 33-yard line. Oh, that was a great play by J.C. Watts. He rolled out of there, was thinking of running, and then he spotted Baker breaking open at the last second, and he delivers a 48-yard strike. And he was on the run at the left, running left, which is tough.
Well, we thought they might test Jim Rockford. We didn't think it'd be with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, but Keith Baker easily got in behind him. A good throw by J.C. Watts. And once again, the Argonauts would certainly love to keep running up this score if they can.
The ball is at the Hamilton 32-yard line. Watts throws to Chris Woods. And Woods is down inside the 20 to the 19, where Lance Shields and Howard Fields, 28 and 16, combine on the stop. But it's a Toronto first down with the clock stopped, 1:53 left to play in the fourth quarter.
Well, they really have got great production out of that play today, haven't they?
They sure have. That's absolutely been their bread and butter play all afternoon.
But, and you know, it's good they're smart. They keep using it. I mean, keep using it till the other guys can stop it.
First down, Toronto. The ball at the Hamilton 19. Cedric Minter zigged when he should have zagged, and Rod Skillman got a hold of his sweater, hauled him down with help from Frank Robinson. I would be very much surprised if you didn't see Willie Miller in that Argonaut offensive backfield next week. I just think that Miller has more speed than Minter, and he would have been in the lineup today, except that he caught the flu this week.
Well, the thing with Cedric Minter, you know, of course, you remember from years ago was his pass catching, but they really don't use him that way anymore. So maybe it's not a bad move to get William Miller back in there.
That again is Cedric Minter to the 20-yard line, so they'll go for the field goal try here. Leo Ezrins was there to make the stop along with Mike Walker, 72 and 61. Lance Chomick will try his second field goal of the afternoon. This one will come from the 27-yard line. And it is good. So with 52 seconds left to play in this fourth quarter, Toronto has increased its lead. It is Toronto 28, Hamilton 17 in the opening game of this two-game total point final.
Following today's telecast, the Carling O'Keefe Sports Defensive Game Star will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce solid gold coin presented by Tilley, Canadian manufacturers of fine leather goods. At Tilley, they bring together quality and creativity in all their products for all your needs, from their line of personal leather goods through to their travel wear.
The Hamilton Ticats have 52 seconds to see if they can get on the scoreboard again. They trail once again by 11 points. Kerrigan's pass is complete. The champion, he coughs up the football. And the Argos have recovered at the 29-yard line. They're going to rule that that is a live football. The Argos will have possession at the 27-yard line. David Marshall with the recovery for the Argos. And they have the ball inside the Hamilton 25.
Yeah, he has an interception and a fumble recovery now in this game, David Marshall. And boy, oh boy, you just hate to make mistakes like this. They become so crucial. Tony Champion coughs it up. David Marshall's got it. And 43 seconds left. Toronto just has another great chance to pour it on.
And if I'm Obi, I go for the end zone here. I want the touchdown. Because, boy, what a difference that's going to make. And Watts does throw to Paul Pearson. He couldn't hang on. Coming across to make the hit was Lance Shields.
Well, Lance Shields really did make a great play there, because that was a good throw by J.C. Watts. And Paul Pearson had it in his arms, but good timing by Lance Shields. Knocks it out. And oh, boy, that would have been a great catch.
36 seconds left to play. Toronto 28, Hamilton 17, and the Ticats are really in a bind. Argos have the ball at the Hamilton 23. Wide open for the touchdown is Keith Baker. There is a penalty marker down. They are going to rule, I believe, that J.C. was beyond the line of scrimmage. Let's wait.
Well, I think he was. I think that's an excellent call, Pat. It appeared as though he crossed the line of scrimmage.
Pass, number 6, Toronto, third down.
Well, that's what it was. He was over the line of scrimmage. Let's watch this. The line of scrimmage is the 23-yard line. We'll roll the tape here. We'll see it.
JC does a great job to get away from the pressure, steps up in the pocket. Now let's see where he releases that football. Let it run.
Let it run. Run the... Boy, it's close.
Nevertheless, that's also loss of down, so that does bring Lance Chomick into the game.
And he will try his third field goal of the ball game from the 30-yard line. And it is good. So with just 24 seconds left to play in the ball game, the Argos have taken a 14-point lead. Toronto 31, Hamilton 17. In this, the opening game of the two-game total point Eastern Final.
Well, full marks to the Toronto Argonauts. They've come into a stadium that they have not had great success in the past, and you know, they've made some errors today, no question about that, but the thing is, Hamilton's made more.
And it was amazing. The Ticats fans were really optimistic about this. We spoke to one who said yesterday there was no chance that Toronto could win. And he was a pretty good fan because he was a former quarterback. This is Tony Champion stepping out of bounds. He may have been out of bounds and then come back onto the field of play.
That's exactly what happened, Pat. He did step out, and once you go out and come back in, you cannot catch the football. Boy, you're sharp today.
Ooh. I was going to say the ex-player was Dave Marler.
Illegal substitution, number 1 Hamilton. He went out of bounds on his own and came back and took part in the play.
So that's what happened. Dave Marler, the former Hamilton quarterback, stopped the chat with Leaf and I yesterday. I said, what do you think is going to happen? He said, I just can see no way that Toronto can win. I wonder if he sees now.
See what former players, they don't know much, do they?
Well, Champion was out of the field of play and came back on, so the penalty is 10 yards. Ball is back to the 25. And with 17 seconds left, if I was Hamilton, I might be a little conservative here because down 14 is bad enough. But Kerrigan throws to Jed Tommy. And Tommy gets up to about the 39-yard line with 11 seconds left on the clock. David Marshall made the stop. Second down, Tony Champion makes the catch, wrapped up by Don Moan, short of the first down with 4 seconds left to play. Well, the Argos are full value for this victory. Their offensive line really came to the fore. They played extremely well defensively to limit Hamilton to just 17 points. Here's the way the scoring went. It was 7-0 Hamilton at the end of 1. Argos led 17-14 at the half, 24-14 at the end of 3 quarters of play, and they appear to be going to win it 31-17 with this the final play coming up.
Patrick, the word on Condredge Holloway, minor concussion, not for the first time this season.
No, you're right, Dan. Well, I'll guarantee you there'll be a war next Sunday in Toronto because Hamilton is just, they'll be wild next Sunday. And that offensive line that we've spoken so much about today, they better be at their best next week because Hamilton will just tie the chin straps on and come after them.
Well, there's Condredge Holloway on the sidelines with Dan Ferroni. Dan Ferroni's had a tough day, too. He is really beat up and battered, but, boy, he stays in that lineup game after game. Interesting, though, coming into this, you know, you'd think Ticat defense, they are tough. Toronto's played well against that defense today.
This should be the final play of the ball game. And the final pass is picked off. Daryl Moyer makes his 3rd interception of the afternoon as the Toronto Argonauts win this one by 14 points, and what a victory it is for them. The final, Toronto 31, Hamilton 17. We'll be back in just a moment.
Wake up.
And now the Carling O'Keefe Sports offensive and defensive game stars is selected by our broadcast crew. From the Toronto Argonauts, quarterback J.C. Watts with 2 touchdown runs and a touchdown pass, offensive star. Teammate, defensive back Daryl Moyer, 3 interceptions today, defensive star. Each of today's stars will receive a Royal Canadian Mint 1-ounce solid gold coin, presented by Remington Products, makers of the 3M surgical clippers and the microscreen rechargeable, advanced shaving technology only from Remington. And by Tilly, bringing together quality and creativity in all their products, from the line of personal leather goods through to their travel wear. This is the CFL playoffs on CTV. The Argonauts win today 31-17. They will have a 14-point lead when Game 2 starts next week in Toronto. Next telecast on CTV will be the Western Final. Next Sunday, November 23rd, the BC Lions meet either Edmonton or Calgary. This program is copyrighted and is strictly intended for the private use of our audience. Any reproduction, retransmission, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of the CTV television network is strictly prohibited.
This is the CTV Television Network.
W5 is tonight at 7 on Calgary 4 and 5.
Play the Calgary Sun CFCN television bonus game. Use the game panels marked A to D. Match all 15 numbers and win up to $1,000 cash. Watch for bonus numbers alternate Sundays in the Sunday Sun TV magazine and between noon and midnight on CFCN television. Now, here are more bonus numbers. Call the bingo hotline tomorrow before 4 p.m. if you have a winning card. Get in on the fun. The Calgary Sun CFCN television bonus game.